Thank you, Professor Rubin.
Thank you, Professor Rubin.
Thank you, Professor Rubin. We love you.
Thank you, Professor Rubin.
Thank you, Professor Rubin.
Thank you, Professor Rubin.
My first impression of the consulting workshop was that I had no idea what I got myself into. I was overwhelmed, I was scared, I did not think I was qualified, I questioned why did Professor Rubin send me. But after about a week or so of the intensive cases, I realized that it would be one of the most formative experiences I could possibly have in college.
My first impression of the consulting workshop was driving all the way up to West Lafayette with Professor Rubin. This is my sophomore year for the Kelley Case Challenge. We had a great drive, we had lots of fun conversations, we totally bonded, and we only got lost once. Just kidding, Professor Rubin doesn't do that.
So basically, I didn't know anything when I was applying to the workshop. My mom told me to apply. So when I went to the interview with the previous workshop students, they told me it's a lot of hours, especially balancing it with I-Corps. I was really worried about it, and it definitely lived up to that expectation. I put a lot of time into it, but I was surprised that every time I left SPIA, I had a smile on my face, and I was actually excited and happy to be doing it with my group. So it actually ended up being really good.
My first impression of the workshop was it is highly prestigious and it's really difficult to get in and to survive. 2 years later, I realized I was partially right. It is difficult, but at the same time, it is alright to survive because along the way, you will get tremendous help from your classmates and Professor Rubin.
And I soon realized that all of my favorite mentors and leaders in Kelley, just a lot of the upperclassmen I really looked up to were in consulting workshops. So I think my first impression was just, wow, that's an amazing group of people. I have no idea what this consulting thing is that they're talking about, but I should probably look into it because it must be a good time.
Honestly, at first I was pretty intimidated. I mean, I had never been in a group of people that were that insanely smart before, and I thought that I was, just in over my head. But after, a couple weeks in class and getting to know the people, I knew that it was just a great opportunity for me to grow and develop and learn so much from not only my peers, but also Professor Rubin.
I was really excited to tell him about all the philanthropy that I was involved with, how I had had an internship at a nonprofit in Indianapolis the previous summer. And he, with a completely straight face, asked me why I was in the business school and not in SPIA. So that was pretty rough first start with Professor Rubin, but I guess I came up with a decent enough answer to get into the workshop and then spent the rest of my 3 years with him proving that, I was not one of those SPIA kids.
So I sat down and started talking to him, and at first I was like, okay, this is going all right. And then he threw me the predictive curveball of how do you feel about being a female in Kelley as a minority? And I think I sat there for a good 30 seconds of super awkward silence until I decided what I wanted to say. And I honestly don't remember what I said, but I guess it was good enough to get me into the workshop, so.
Horrifying. I'm pretty sure I was so nervous that I don't really remember what happened. But that's one thing that Rubin really has helped with. It's helping students like myself develop the skills to be confident and to succeed.
I was very impressed with the first 2 lectures. I had never seen so many students in a single class put up their hands and answer questions. I could just smell the A-type personalities in the room and the intellectual stimulation that I would experience. And at that moment I thought to myself, man, this is really cool. This is what I want to do in my career.
My favorite memory from the consulting workshop was definitely the first day of class junior year. I remember walking into the room and the excitement and nervous energy was literally palpable because we knew that someone was going to have to present. Thank God we had Tom to carry the team, but I just remember being so excited to be part of something like the consulting workshop, and it was a great experience.
Although my team was discussing a long-term growth strategy involving alternative energy production, we were not stopped for questions even once. At the very end of the presentation, Professor Rubin commented, "I was trying to figure out why none of us were asking questions, and then I realized it was because you were answering all of them." This was both a huge compliment to our team and a testament to the growth we had experienced in just 8 short weeks.
Honestly, it was really hard to believe. Just being able to visit so many great companies was just such a rare opportunity for me. I learned so much from all those information sessions, fun activities and cases, and just network with our alumni and learn about their experiences and career advice.
I think my favorite memory from the Chicago trip was probably driving back on the bus ride home to Bloomington and playing Never Have I Ever with Professor Rubin.
Well, I definitely enjoyed the visits to the companies. I think my favorite part of the Chicago trip was the food. You can't pass up free milkshakes.
So I obviously learned all the analytical tools to structure my thoughts or break down an issue into subcomponents, but I think one of the greatest things that I learned in working with a group of such high caliber students was how to acknowledge my strengths and know what I can bring to the table, and then also acknowledge the strengths of my teammates and rely on them when I need to, and so in so doing, how we can leverage each other's strengths to bring about an output, and that's something that I think will be definitely potentially useful in the future as well.
I think that if there's one main takeaway from my experience in the consulting workshop, it's that when you present to Professor Rubin, you're always wrong.
I've learned how to take an analytical mindset to all aspects of my everyday life. So whether it was through our case studies or a different interview prep, I've really learned how to create a structured argument and analysis. So now I know next time I'm flying and the guy next to me asks how many oranges will fit on the plane, I'll be ready.
In the workshop, I learned how to better structure a presentation and the importance of telling a story. These were things that my groups and I really struggled with throughout J420, but it was very rewarding to have a better grasp of these concepts by the end of the course.
So besides learning how to function on small amounts of sleep, which is definitely a skill I've gained over the past few years, I would say that the workshop has taught me 2 main things. The first is how to be a better networker. So through all the different events that we've been able to attend, including the Chicago trip, I definitely think I've improved my networking skills, and I plan on using those skills when I start work in June.
Professor Rubin, the thing that I've learned most from you is how to be able to enter a presentation and convey our recommendations with confidence. This is because of the fact that I've learned how to structure my thoughts on the fly and be able to really answer extremely difficult questions and answers throughout the presentation. And I'm no longer intimidated by people who ask difficult questions thanks to your rigorous training through the workshop.
The friends I've made, the experiences I've had, the opportunities it's given me, they're second to none. I would recommend you, the workshop, to anybody in Kelley, no matter what they aspire to do someday.
Not only have I learned a ton in terms of valuable skills that I can use, in the workplace, wherever my career may lead me, you've also gone above and beyond for me personally in terms of giving me advice on internships, classes, and various other difficult decisions I've had to make throughout my time in the past few years here at IU, and I just wanted to thank you for that.
It is one of the most joyful moments in my life when I got an email from you saying that I was accepted by the workshop. I feel very lucky to be a part of the group, and I had the opportunity to get to know a lot of amazing people.
Professor Rubin, I've never experienced a class that's taught me more about myself as a learner, but also as what I want to do and how I work well with others. And I'm so grateful for the experience and for everything that you really taught us just about how to be a sound business person and how to be a logical arguer. And for that, I'm eternally grateful, and I know it'll go far in my life. So thank you.
Hi, Professor Rubin. I just want to say thank you on behalf of our class. We all appreciate everything you do for us through the consulting workshop and beyond.
I know we're going to go out into this world and make you proud.